Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. We just had a few technical issues. There was noise on the line, as they say, for our connection to Geneva. Welcome back, and we are honored in this inaugural Agora to host the Mattei Lecture. Now, this is a signature session that embodies the spirit of cooperation and co-creation at the heart of the Mattei Plan. Now, this lecture will be given by one of the most influential voices in global trade. This is a woman of many firsts that we will be hearing from shortly. I interviewed her before she entered her post, and what a fascinating, strong character. She was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to interview. She didn't take any nonsense. And if you were, on the path of giving a leading question, she soon put it to rights. So it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking to her today. We've just lost the line, so we're going to just continue to wait a little bit. I was actually in Geneva about a month ago at the WTO, and it was incredible to see how well her team worked. So a pleasure for me, and I'm sure you are very well acquainted with her because she is within your circles. And there she is, Director General is with us. Welcome. So as I was saying, this lecture is going to be given by one of the most influential voices in global trade. She is a woman of many firsts, including being the first woman to lead the WTO, a global leader in economic reform, trade, and equitable growth. To introduce this afternoon's Mattei Lecture speaker, he was with us yesterday, part of the launch of AGORA 2025. Please welcome back Luigi Federico Signorini, the Senior Deputy Governor of the Bank of Italy.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, who, as has already been announced, will deliver this year's Mattei Lecture. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is an economist, reformer, a global leader with a distinguished career spanning over 4 decades. She served twice as Finance Minister of Nigeria, was Managing Director of the World Bank, and has led the WTO since 2021. The first woman, as has been mentioned, and the first African to do so. Her leadership has been instrumental in guiding the organization through one of the most complex and turbulent periods of its history. We meet at a time when the international trading order is being put to the test. Geopolitical tensions are deepening, strategic rivalries are reshaping trade flows, and protectionist measures, often justified by concern about security or industrial resilience, are proliferating. In this context, it is important to keep the flow of goods, services, ideas, and people as open as possible. This is especially necessary for the emerging and developing economies such as those of Africa. Recent tariff increases are part of a broader trend of economic fragmentation that has accelerated since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Trade barriers, export controls, and non-market policies have multiplied, leading to the resurgence of a bloc-based economic order. Intra-bloc trade has increased, while cross-bloc exchanges have decreased. These developments weaken global trade flows and may negatively affect overall growth prospects, not only due to the direct effect of new barriers, but also because of the heightened uncertainty that the absence of a clear, predictable, and commonly accepted framework of rules creates. An evolving series of bilateral agreements and the absence so far of a general retaliatory escalation have thankfully helped avert the most negative scenarios for the world economy. Yet there is a perception of continued instability and significant risks remain. Fragmentation extends beyond trade. It also affects the financial system, global payment networks, and the global financial stability net. Fragmentation comes at a cost. Barriers reduce productivity, slow innovation, and weaken growth. They also limit our collective capacity to address global challenges that do not stop at borders, from climate change to food security, health security, and the governance of the digital economy. The cost may be particularly important for developing countries. In the framework of an open trade system that has long prevailed, many emerging and developing economies have enjoyed long periods of growth. Over the past few years, even the most disadvantaged African countries, particularly those in sub-Saharan Africa, have experienced an acceleration of economic growth. Still, despite being home to nearly 1/5 of the world's population, Africa accounts for barely 3% of global merchandise trade, and trade within the continent remains limited. Deeper integration into global markets and technological exchange should be seen as a powerful mechanism for turning Africa's demographic dynamism into sustainable prosperity. Initiatives such as the Resilient and Inclusive Supply Chain Enhancement, or RISE project, prioritized under the G7 agenda, have the potential to foster investment and facilitate the transfer of technology and skills, enabling African economies to participate more effectively in global value chains and play a more prominent role in international production networks. The challenge before us is not to restore the past, but to build or rebuild and redesign a rules-based trading system fit for today's geopolitical and technological realities. This means acknowledging legitimate national security concern while reaffirming the primacy of cooperation and dialogue. Open trade and strategic resilience need to coexist. It also means addressing the imbalances that have long distorted trade and finance, from excessive surpluses and deficits to overdependence on critical sectors. Persistent external imbalances mainly stem from internal mismatches between savings, investment, and public and private consumption, influenced by divergent domestic policies and often worsened by non-market practices. The WTO stands at the heart of the efforts to rebuild a fair and open trading system. To do so, it must evolve. The international community should support reforms that better equip it to address market distortion and ensure that it can effectively perform its dispute settlement function. As Dr. Okonjo-Iweala has often reminded us, the goal is not deglobalization, but reglobalization, which means rebuilding global flows of trade, investment, and ideas on fairer, more secure, and more sustainable foundations. Multilateralism may seem difficult in an age of rivalry, but it needs to remain a goal. Trade increases prosperity and discourages war. We forget this at our peril. I'm confident that under Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's leadership, the WTO will play a pivotal role in this transformation. I look forward to hearing her vision for the future of global trade and Africa. So please join me in welcoming her to the floor.